Welcome to Bonsai, and today we're going to be repotting this Japanese Acer air layer. This tree is actually from my larger Japanese Acer, which I'll just go grab for you now. So here's the Japanese Acer that I mentioned. As you can see here, there's a really big scar that's healing and rolling nicely, and this is actually where I air layered off that tree. The tree that we're going to work on today is about 2 years old from being air layered, and is ready for repotting and just some light spring pruning. So now you've had a chance to look at the mother tree, let's zoom you in and take a look at the air layer. So here's the front of the tree, and this year what I want to do is air layer off this top bit and grow this bud as the new trunk leader. It's all kind of a single thickness all the way up. So air layering off will allow us to create a nice interesting taper. So here's the front of the tree. We've got a nice primary branch with some higher branching at the back, a secondary branch, and then we're going to grow this trunk up the middle. Go around to the side, you can see it's ramifying quite nicely. A lot of the big wounds are starting to heal. It's the back of the tree, back round to the side, and to the front. So the first thing we're going to do is take the tree out of the pot and do some root raking. So this is the pot that we're going to be popping it in today. As you can see, slightly larger and a better shape for that radial root base. So let's pull it out of the soil now. You can see here that there's still quite a lot of space in the soil for root growth. So we're probably only going to do some light pruning today. So first I'm just going to rake away the soil. As you can see, I planted it quite deep last year. And we've not had a huge amount of root growth, and the tree was struggling a little bit last year. So I have a feeling the plastic pot wasn't kind of keeping the tree's roots cool enough, because I have a lot of my trees in full sun, and this was stressing the tree out. So yeah, today we're going to come in and repot it, do some minor root work, and get it into a nice bigger, cooler pot where it'll stay for a couple of years. So this is a good time of year to be repotting. We're in kind of early March. The tree's buds are starting to push out, so the tree's telling me that now is a good time for this work to happen. So I can see it actually has quite a nice radial root base. It's just that the roots haven't kind of ventured too far down yet into the soil mix. So I think it will really like its new home. There's one area of the tree that doesn't have a lot of roots, so I'll zoom you in and I'll show you that. You can see here the root base is really radial, really nice, and then we've got a bit of a gap here. So we were clearly developing this side of the roots. So today I'm going to prune back these ones a little bit and leave these to grow nice and long. So the next step is to take this outside and give it a bit of a wash with my mister and get rid of the soil between the roots. So I've got my mister here, as you can see. I'm just going to set the nozzle to jet spray. And just come in and give that root base a nice little spray down. This will help me remove any of the soil that's kind of packed down near the trunk and help create a bit more air and aeration and root health. So there you go. So the next bit I'm going to work on is kind of pruning up this root base. I need two tools for this. The first is my concave cutters, and the second is just a really cheap pair of scissors to help cut those smaller roots. So looking at the root base, we can just come in and chop all of those downward facing roots away. Next step is where all the roots are sticking up. We want to cut them so that it starts them flowing down into the soil quite nicely. And then finally just doing a circular root prune. And this helps just balance that root base. So you can see now it's all pruned up. Finally coming to the underside of the roots, again just pruning these back. You can see here that's the bottom of the trunk, and that's what we're looking for with bonsai, so that all the root growth that we're getting is going into growing radial roots, because that contributes to trunk flare. So just pruning these ones back now so that it's nice and flat. Giving it a comb, and what this does is this rips the crossing roots, which is important because one, it helps favour those radial roots which contribute to trunk flare, and with maples it's quite easy for those roots to fuse together. So by ripping them, you're just ensuring that those roots don't fuse, and you end up with individual roots rather than like a puddle root base where they have all fused together. So you can see we've got a bit of growing still to do in this area, but we've got roots there now, which is a really good start. The next step is to come in and begin repotting. Okay, so we've got a really nice terracotta pot that we're going to put the tree in. You can see there's lots of space for the tree to grow. Maples are really fast root growers, so this should fill the pot by the end of the growing season. Got a nice drainage screen, which again is just some repurposed material, which I'll place in the bottom. And I'm going to come in now and just begin to fill it up with some used soil. I'm not going to use my fresh soil because this is still a tree in development and fresh soil is quite expensive. But I've just spent some time kind of sieving and preparing the used soil so that it'll be really nice and chunky, and have a lot of air pockets so that the roots can grow and get a lot of nutrients. So here's my used soil bucket. As you can see, still quite large particles. We've got bits of moss and some roots in there as well, but this will be perfect for the tree. So I'm just going to come in with my potting soil and lay down a base layer. what I'm doing is I'm creating a mound in the middle, and this is where the tree's roots will be placed on. You can see here we've got like a little mound of soil. What we want to do is we want to place the root base on top of it, and that allows us to get soil kind of underneath the roots. So I'm just going to push it down on top like that, and then we can begin adding more soil. So now that we've got the tree in the pot with a bit of soil to hold it in place, it's time to now look at the front of the tree and make sure that it is facing the right way, the trunk's the right direction. So you can see here that the tree is slightly over this side of it too much, and we want to angle it a little bit. So I'm going to hold that angle there, and with some chopsticks just come in and work the soil down into the roots, and this will hold the tree in its new position. Then we just continue to fill up the pot with the soil. As we begin to work the soil down into the roots, the tree becomes much firmer in the pot, and that's a good sign that we're getting all the air pockets. We're getting a lot of soil down in between those roots, and that it's gripping its new substrate really nicely. You'll notice that I don't use any wires to hold down my trees, and this is very deliberate because I don't want the tree to grow rapidly and then the wires that are holding the tree into the pot bite into those roots and end up scarring them. Particularly for maples where the roots grow quick and they're being, trying to rapidly grow this one. Those roots that you want to display later, it's a real shame if they've got, lots of root wire marks. Also just going to pile up the soil quite high against the trunk, and then probably late summer I'll scrape that back once the roots have established. I'm also going to give it a quick spray down with some rose clear, just in case there's any crawling insects on the branches that are starting to come out of hibernation. Now the final step before we put it back on the bench is to just do some light pruning. We don't want to prune it too hard because that'll weaken the tree, but I can see there's some really long branches that we've got an opportunity to just shorten. Okay, so on the first branch, we can see we've got a cluster of buds here. We can't really do much at the moment, so I'm just going to leave them. Got an opportunity to prune that back. I'm not quite sure I like how this branch comes up over the top of this one. So I'm just going to prune it back to this bud for now, and then see how that develops this year. Back round to the side, we've got a bud here that we can prune back to, And this branch at the top, we've actually got dieback here, so these buds are dead, I think. And we've got a small bud there, so just going to tip that off. Coming round to the side branch, got an opportunity to just shorten this. Can't really do much here, but we can shorten this branch back. I did do some light pruning before winter, but with maples, if you prune them too early in winter, you end up getting lots of branch dieback. So I tend to just do an initial branch thinning first, and then in this time of year, I come in and prune those branches back for ramification. So that's the tree now all repotted and spring pruned. The last step is to flush it with water to pull out all that dust from the soil and to settle the roots in nicely. So if you've made it this far in the video, thank you for watching. Don't forget to give us a like and let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you're new to the channel, there's a subscribe button in the bottom corner of the screen there. And I'm going to go outside and water this, so I look forward to seeing you guys in the next one.